Hello everyone, how are we doing today? My name is Olivia and I'm a type 1 diabetic and have been so for 20 years. And that is why today I'm bringing you a video that is a new form of video that I'm doing today, but I thought it would be a lot of fun because I've seen a lot of different YouTube creators do these lately, and I thought that it would be interesting with the topic of diabetes. So what I did was I went onto Google and I typed in main questions about type 1 diabetes, and I wrote a few of them down, and I wanted to give you my input of these answers, of basically what my answers would be as a type 1 diabetic of over 20 years. So I thought that it would be very interesting if you are also a type 1 diabetic. Leave it in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my explanations of these questions, or maybe you're a close relative of a diabetic and trying to get some more information about the disease. In my opinion, you get the most information about diabetes from a diabetic. So I hope that you and everyone you know finds this video very helpful. Before we get started, please do me a favor and give this video a big thumbs up. It helps me and my channel and helps push this video out to more people who need to hear this information, or more people who would find this information captivating. So we're going to get started with the first question today, and that is, how does type 1 diabetes affect daily life? So let me just start with a little background on myself. Like I've said, this is the third time I've been a type 1 diabetic for over 20 years. My mother also had type 1 diabetes. So growing up in my house, even before being diabetic myself, I was pretty familiar with the disease. And then now as an adult, I'm married to someone who is not diabetic, and we have two non-diabetic children. And then we also have a third child on the way. So being said, I am the only diabetic in my household. So my family is pretty familiar, or as familiar as they can be, with diabetes. My husband really delved in deep to the topic when he met me, so that way he could have the most information and knowledge to be able to care for me when things go wrong. So how does type 1 diabetes affect daily life? So point blank, type 1 diabetes is a 24-hour disease. It is a disease that does not sleep. Being said, that you still have to worry about your blood sugars when you are sleeping, or when you're resting, or when you're watching a TV show, when you're in the middle of dinner, when you're at a soccer game, all the time. And that can be a very stressful thing, constantly worrying about your diabetes. So being said, it affects every part of your daily life, because a lot of different things in your daily life have to be centered around the fact that you are diabetic. For instance, a great example is when I go for a family walk with my husband and kids, I have to bring a snack bag with me. Now, that could be even right after dinner. I'm still bringing the snack bag because I need to think in advance to make sure that if my sugars drop on this walk, I am prepared to treat that. And that is what diabetes is in my mind. You are always thinking a few steps ahead. I bet you type 1 diabetics would be fantastic chess players for that reason, because you're constantly worrying about what's going to happen next, how your current dose of insulin is going to affect you 2 hours from now, if it's going to make your sugars high or if it's going to get it low. Because the whole point of diabetes is you want your sugars to be as steady and normal as humanly possible with as little spikes. Now, if you are not familiar with type 1 diabetes, I'm going to give you a very generic medical type explanation. And as a background, I am not a medical professional at all. All I am is a person who has been living with diabetes for a very long time. So type 1 diabetes is actually an autoimmune disease where your immune cells attack your healthy cells, organs. So in this case, your immune cells attack the pancreas beta cells, which is what makes your insulin. So being said, your autoimmune disease takes out your ability to make insulin yourself. Therefore, you have to then take medication to get that, that need. We all need insulin to live. So that is the very medical, great explanation of type 1 diabetes. So we're going to move on now that I've explained kind of how it affects your daily life, that it affects every angle of your daily life. It affects not just you, but also your loved ones, your close family and friends. I've had friends before have to deliver me sugary juices and cookies to help me get my sugar up. It's just part of life. So as a type 1 diabetic, I have accepted that sometimes you need to ask for help, and that's totally okay, because you always want to make sure that your health comes first. And with type 1 diabetes, the unfortunate truth is sometimes you have to depend on other people to help you out of a sticky situation. So that is how it affects your daily life. Question 2 was, how do you manage diabetes? So diabetes, as mentioned, is mainly managed by medicine, so insulin. Personally, I manage my diabetes by a CGM, which is my Dexcom G7 monitor, which continuously monitors my blood glucose. I also have the Omnipod 5 insulin pump, which constantly almost works as an artificial pancreas and gives me insulin throughout the day. And the only time I have to really mess with my Omnipod is when I am bolusing or giving myself a dosage for a meal. So obviously that's how I do things, but you can also do self-injections if that's easier for you. There are some people who can manage their diabetes all through diet and exercise. As a diabetic, you have to carb count, which is a very big thing with diabetes, carb counting. And then also you always want to make sure you have a doctor, and you can have a medical team to kind of review your blood sugar numbers with, because you need someone to write your prescriptions and you need someone to kind of review and look out for you in the background. I'm very fortunate. I love my doctor, and because of my pregnancy, with my blood sugars being so important right now, she pulls my Omnipod and Dexcom information weekly and reviews them and makes any changes if need be. But I'm sure that there are so many doctors out there that would do the same thing. It's just a nice thing to know that I have someone kind of in the background looking for ways to better my health, because sometimes I can admit that I don't know it all. I may be living with this disease for a very long time, but I don't know all the settings and all the tricks and tips to manage myself the best. But that is how you manage type 1 diabetes. There are a lot of different ways you can do it, and there are a lot of different ways around it. But basically, you want to make sure you have a doctor. You want to make sure you're taking your medicine. And when I say carb counting is really important, I only say that because the amount of medicine you need to take is based off of the carbs you're eating. So if you're eating a higher carb meal, you're taking more insulin to adjust for that. Whereas if you're eating a very low carb salad, you might not have to take any insulin for that. So the amount of medicine you're taking is based off of the carbs you're eating. So reading nutritional labels is just a part of diabetic life for type 1 diabetics. And personally, having this for so long, I can even look at items and know how many carbs are in it just from eyeballing and looking at it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who does that, because we all don't have constant nutrition labels around us all the time to look at and review. So I'm sure I'm not alone there. But that is how you manage type 1 diabetes. Another question is, does type 1 diabetes affect your mental health? And I would say 1000% it absolutely does. And watching this video, we're 8 minutes in, I have mentioned multiple points as to why this would affect your mental health. The fact that it's a 24-hour disease, the fact you always have to think ahead, being spontaneous is hard. So it's very hard on the individual suffering. And also because when you think about it, if your sugars are very low and very high, preventing you from being able to take care of yourself, you have to depend on other people, which can be a really stressful topic for a lot of people, to have to rely on other people to get them out of a sticky situation. I'm really fortunate. My husband's fantastic. And I can also acknowledge the fact that not everyone is that lucky to have someone as reliable as I have to get them themselves out of sticky situations. I will name one quick story. Kind of disgusting story, but it's a story. It's a good story. It's kind of funny when you think about it. So my sugar, when I was pregnant with my second child, my sugar would drop a lot in the night. And my husband's really good just looking at me, knowing that my sugar's low. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I can't remember coming out to the kitchen. I ate a snack. I went back into bed. And by then, I don't remember any of this. My sugar was not coming up quick enough. I woke my husband up and told him that our pastor was coming over in a few minutes. We had to clean up the house. And he said, "Why do you think the pastor is coming over to our house in a few minutes? It's 2 o'clock in the morning." And I'm like, they're coming over. He's coming over. We need to clean up. So he gets up with me, walks up to the kitchen, and turns out while my sugar was low, And probably why it wasn't coming up quick enough was because I threw up all over the kitchen table. So my husband's just looking at this kitchen table covered in my throw up, and he's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "I don't know what happened, but the pastor's coming over. We have to take care of it." So my husband just starts cleaning. And meanwhile, I scurried off back into bed. And by the time he cleaned all that mess up and he came back into bed, my sugar was so low that I could no longer communicate at all. He had to call EMTs out to, help me get out of that spell. But before the EMTs even got there, he saw that I was covered in throw up because I'd thrown up all over the place. So my husband actually changed me while my sugar was low. Obviously, he had treated my sugar, but he changed me waiting for the EMTs to come out here because he knew me personally wouldn't want to be seen that way. Being said, this video is not about how amazing my husband is, because clearly he is, but I just feel that everyone deserves that kind of support person to be able to rely on in those situations. And my mental health has really improved since being in such a good relationship with my husband where I can trust him to take care of those kind of things. And also being said, to kind of, mirror off that, is diabetic mental health does not affect just diabetics, but their close loved ones. Because just think about it, and I know this because I took care of my mom, who was a very brittle diabetic, that you are constantly worrying about them. And that is why CGM's coming out with such a big deal, where my husband has it linked to his phone, what my sugars are at all time, and he can catch it before it gets too low, reach out, remind me to eat something. But back when I was first diagnosed, they didn't have those as options. So you would just be out for an entire day at work, not knowing. And that itself is very stressful. So it creates almost diabetic anxiety if you're not diabetic, because you don't know what's going on with your loved one at home and you just care and you want to make sure they're okay. So mental health is a very big topic with diabetes. I feel is not acknowledged as much as it should be. And a lot of that, in my opinion, the mental health, it's really hard on the people who are the caregivers for those diabetics because of the anticipation and worrying about them. So I want to acknowledge that and also thank anyone out there who is a caregiver for a diabetic, because I know hands-on how hard and difficult of a job that can be. And then the last question that Google gave me was, how do you administer insulin? So this is a very easy question to answer. So you can administer them through injections, clearly, or inhalers, and through insulin pumps. And as mentioned, I'll show you. I'll stand up. My insulin pump is right here on my leg. I love keeping them on my legs. They're just kind of nice and out of the way. My CGM Dexcom is also with my pump down there. But that's how you administer insulin. And I thought it'd be really cool to show you guys what the different options look like. I have never done the inhaler, but I can show you how you can do the insulin modes. So this is an insulin pen. I'm no longer on these, but I do keep a backup stash just in case my pump were to ever fail. But the pen looks like this. It literally looks like a pen, and you just dial, and the more you dial, the more insulin you're taking. And there's numbers written where you can see how many units you're taking. And you stick a needle into this tip right there, you screw it on, and then you do your injection that way. So this is an insulin pen. This is a insulin syringed regular old vial, the old-fashioned way. But the reason I have this is because this is what I put into my insulin pump. So you take a needle, you flip this upside down, you take your insulin out, and you're good to go. So this is the old-fashioned way. The only thing with these, you have to be careful, is because they're glass and they do break very easily. When I was on the go, before being on an insulin pump, I always had really good luck with the pens just because they were easy to throw into a bag and go. And then this is the insulin pump that I'm currently on right now. It's the Omnipod 5 insulin pump. It's very user-friendly. It comes with a needle, so that way I can just use that needle to take out my insulin from this vial and put it into the pump, and then put the pump on my body, and it lasts for 3 days. And this is very, I would say, spot on to an artificial pancreas, especially because it communicates with my CGM monitor, my Dexcom G7. So I definitely recommend the insulin pumps. And I was a very big skeptic for a very long time of insulin pumps, because technology is a hard pill to swallow for anyone. But I really feel like diabetics have a hard time swallowing it, because we were all told to handle this disease on our own for so long. When we were told that technology could now kind of take over and help, it made us very hesitant. My endocrinologist always tells me that she has never met a group of people as stubborn as type 1 diabetics. And I can hands-on see, based on my mom having disease and me, that we just want the best for ourselves. So when you were told that we could wear this little thing and it's just gonna work like magic, it's a hard pill to swallow. But I've swallowed that pill, and since then I've been really enjoying my experience. I do have a ton of videos on my channel about my experience with Omnipod 5 and my CGM Dexcom G7, so make sure you check out those videos if you're interested in hearing more about that experience. So yeah, those are my questions I saw on Google today. I thought it would be really cool to come on and chit chat with you guys about. If you're interested in me doing this again, I could type this in again, see what other cool questions I get. Please let me know. Once again, please like this video. It helps me and my channel out, and I appreciate you guys sticking around to the very end. And I hope you guys have a beautiful fall day. As you see, I'm wearing my sweater, and I'm all about it. Love fall weather. So anyway, have a great day, and I hope you guys stay happy and healthy out there in the world, and I'll catch you in the next video.